Hey, fifth grade, for today's poetry lesson, we're going to be reading from a poem entitled Execution by Edward Hirsch. Remember to always click on the assignment details and to watch the video first. I'm going to go ahead and teach the lesson now, so I'm going to click on the poem. It's found in your work. Execution. In this poem, the poet Edward Hirsch tells us about a great high school football coach, his old coach, and the man's favorite word, execution, by which the coach means to accomplish a play according to the plan. But execution has other meanings too. Please follow along as I read this poem. I do want to point out that when we were discussing this, or before we read this in class, a student raised their hand and mentioned that they knew that one of the other meanings for execution was to kill. So keep that in mind as we read this together. Execution. The last time I saw my high school football coach, he had cancer stenciled into his face, like pencil marks from the sun, like intricate drawings on the chalkboard, small X's and O's that he copied down in a neat numerical hand before practice in the morning. By day's end, the board was a spider web of options and counters, blasts and sweeps, a constellation of players shining under his favorite word, execution. Underlined in the upper right-hand corner of things, he believed in football like a new religion and had perfect, unquestioning faith in the fundamentals of blocking and tackling, the idea of warfare without suffering or death, the concept of teammates moving in harmony like the planets, and yet our awkward adolescent bodies were always canceling the flawless beauty of Saturday afternoons in September. Falling away from the particular grace of autumn, the clear weather, the ideal game he imagined. And so he drove us through punishing drills on weekday afternoons and doubled our practice time and challenged us to hammer him with forearms and devised elaborate and last-second plays, a flea flicker, a triple reverse, to save us from defeat. Almost always they worked. He despised losing and loved winning more than his own body, maybe even more than himself. But the last time I saw him, he looked wobbly and stunned by illness. And I remembered the game in my senior year when we met a downstate team who loved hitting more than we did, who battered us all afternoon with a vengeance, who destroyed us with timing and power, with deadly impersonal authority, machine-like fury, perfect execution. All right, so as you go back into this poem, Execution, I would like for you to select and comment on lines and phrases or words that you think are strong. So they have a really big impact on the reader. So the sky's kind of the limit here, guys. But if I were doing this, I feel like this phrase right here, cancer stenciled into his face, is a pretty powerful phrase. So I'm going to add a comment and I'm going to say, I put that these are powerful words. It tells the reader right away that the coach has cancer. So then I would hit comment. I'm not going to go ahead and continue because I want to see what you guys can do on your own. I'm looking for 2 more examples of strong words or powerful words or phrases. And then I would like for you to share your poem with a classmate. Even if you're not here at school, you can share it with someone who is at school, or you can share if you're quarantined and you know other people that are quarantined, it's fine for you to share it with them. Remember, you're going to click the little share button and you're going to type their name. So if I was going to share it with my good friend Carson Gerlich, I would type his name up here. I would type CARSO and see there he shows up. And I would type a little message to him and I would say, hey there, would you mind replying to my comments? And then I would click send and he would get an email saying that I shared the document with him. Remember, this is how we get the discussion that we always get when we're in the classroom. This is how we get that when we're not in the classroom. So it's super important. Do not turn your poem in until after you have shared it and someone has replied to your comments. After that, then you can turn it in. So just keep an eye on that. And then keep in mind that this is something that you can do in your own writing too. Sometimes as athletes, we play for a coach or make connections when we play on a team that stay with us our whole lives. That's another way to create a fan poem. Maybe it's not you're a fan of the sport, but you're a fan of the person. And so that's what Edward Hirsch did in this poem. So keep that in mind as you're continuing to write free verse poetry for me. Reach out if you have any questions or need any help with anything. I love and miss you guys. I hope you're well.